Hey, what's up? This is Eli Morgan Gesner. What I talk about in this video are my recollections of events that happened over 35 years ago. They're from my point of view only, and I'm not speaking for anybody else. I'm also not trying to glorify violence or pretend that I'm some kind of a tough guy, because I am not. Skateboarding saved my life. Thank you. This is Eli Morgan Gesner. We're standing at the lamppost top of the small banks, and we're going to talk about the bad old days of New York City and the Brooklyn Bridge banks. So this is, we've been promised this is all going to be restored, like the big banks, to its former glory. But this is the, where all the action used to happen back in the day. So when I first found out about the banks, which would have been around 1982, 83, you didn't know how to find it. Like no one, it was kind of like a secret. Like, in surfing, they've got like secret spots. So the first time I heard secret spot was about this spot. And nobody would like tell me, because I was a noob just learning how to skateboard, where it was. And then the older skater who taught me how to skate, Ben Alvarez, he was like, my mom, we went to the courthouse, and underneath the Brooklyn Bridge, there's these gigantic banks. And at this point, I was just skating on the street in New York, so I barely knew what a bank was, And in my mind, I thought, I skated a quarter pipe, so I thought maybe it was like 6 feet tall. We came down here, and that's the courthouse. And City Hall is right there. And then we walked around over here, and we walked through there, and we looked over this green hill. So this hill is how everyone used to get to the banks. Now it's overrun, but it used to just be like so many skaters would come down this, from there down the hill and run across, that was all like all that lush greenery was just smashed down. But the first time we came down here, what was scary was that, first of all, nobody was down here. It smelled like piss. And these arches, especially these over here, the first 2 or 3, these were all wood, and they were barn doors. Actually, I guess that's them. Like, you see the little doorway underneath the vent? You see that? So those were wooden barn doors. And they were all rotting away. It was literally something from the 1800s. People don't understand that now, but there was this like kind of point when I was a child that there was still Victorian era rotting things all over New York. But we come here, and this was open, and there were wires. There was they tapped into the wire thing and they tied it off, and there was an extension cord that came down here and then went down there and went in to this place. So when we showed up here to skate, we were just like, oh, skateboarding. But this was 100% run by like a crazy gang of homeless maniac drug addicts who lived in here. So they all lived back inside of this thing, and it's all hollow in here. The whole Brooklyn Bridge underneath this is all hollow. And they had grills, and they would grill food, and they had the power coming in, and they had a radio and maybe even a television and some lights. But there was like something going on in there, and it was all, and I think when I first started skating this, it was so, I can't speak for who came before me, and it was not something we ever really kind of discussed, but it just seems like the summer of like 83, 84, 85, like all the kids just started coming down here to skate. So these guys and us started getting into more and more beef and problems, and they did not like us. And they were always scamming and trying to get drugs and nuts. And in the summertime, they'd open up the barn doors, and you could look in, and they had literal wagons from like the 1800s with like the wooden wagon wheels. Like and some of it had like New York Police Department painted on the side, and there were just like stored old wagons, horse-drawn wagons, and that was kind of just, they were like abandoned there. And you'd look in, and there were rats everywhere. There's rats running all around. Even when you would skate here, especially early on, rats would dart out. Usually it was kind of in the summertime, at least when we first started coming down here. So these guys would want to hang out in there. And what would happen is people would lose their board, and the board would rip the wire out. So you'd rip the wire out, we'd all go, oh no, and then from inside here, motherfuckers! They were all out of their mind on drugs, you know, wild eyes, what the fuck, this is our spot! And that was kind of the original violence or beef that was happening down here. To put this in perspective, in New York City, when we were all kids and this was becoming the spot, there were 6 murders in New York City a day. That was the average. There were so many murders that they couldn't report on it in the news. It had to be something completely crazy. Someone got hit by a train, or someone dressed as a clown decapitated somebody on a bus. And that was it. So back then also, you know, you're off to school, your mom would give you $5 and you had some tokens, and you wouldn't come home till dinner. There was no cell phones, there was no checking in. It was just a constant fog of violence and confrontation wherever you went. When you would skate, we'd skate, but you'd push, and then you'd just like have to look around by habit, because people would attack you. I got attacked all the time. Not all the time, but periodically I got jumped. This one time I got jumped by a gang of like adult Latin kings who were on PCP, and actually with Bruno. And I got beat up. I kicked my skateboard away, got my skateboard, and I went back to Washington Square Park and ran into Bruno. And I told him, I just got attacked. He was, what do you want to do? And I was like, we're going to go get these guys. But, you know, we went and found him. And that was just kind of like how it is. It was just like, you know, free range confrontation and violence at all times. And I think that is sort of, you know, at least for me, is kind of like that's why skateboarding was comfortable, you know, because you were like, oh, I'm used to this kind of a thing. And you would feel safe because you were with all the skaters. Bruno did the first Brooklyn Bridge skateboard contest down here, which was Massacre at the Banks. And there was like a little Xerox flyer, and it was like a guy in a Jason mask jumping over the wall or something. So like ollies really weren't even invented yet. They were, but no one was really doing street ollies. We would come here and it was just all bonelesses, power slides, bonelesses, weird invert, flippy bank things. Famous ollie at the Banks is Ian Fromm in the Bones Brigade video. Ollies up onto the wall. The wall was much narrower back then. They tripled it in size. It used to be just like this. But Ian would ollie up here, or maybe it was here. Ollie up here and then yank off. But it was not really technically a proper ollie. It was like just flicking to a rock and roll. And then I vividly remember skating here. The sun was going down, and I knew I was going to get in trouble with my mom because I was going to miss dinner. And the sun was going down, everyone left, and then a local skater named Aaron Lennox came here. And Aaron was, back in the Shut days, was one of the best skaters in New York City. Totally forgotten about and underrated, but was just a phenomenal athlete. And he had learned how to ollie. I think he also was like a surfer, and he kind of understood like how to do airs. And I was standing here and watching him come this way and pop ollies here. He's goofy, so he would pop ollies this way, but didn't know how to land them. So he would just do ollies and bang into this, pong, and then fall down and roll in. So there was no like ollie land. He would just come from here as fast as he could, do a big frontside ollie, like all the way from here, and just smash his board into this thing, and never saw anything like it. We were all like, how do you do that? this is such a weird space. It's like I don't even know how to describe it as far as New York goes. It's like I don't know, like the cross section of the world where it's like lots of people. No one will be here, and then there'll be like 5 lawyers in suits will come by, and then no one will be here, and then like some gangsters like with their hose come by, and then cops. So one of the major constant beef we had were it's gonna sound so stupid, were the BMXers versus the skaters, and it's not like something like a 1980s movie, like we're the BMXers, we're the skaters. The beef was because you couldn't be a white kid in New York City in the 80s and have a BMX bike and ride around because you would get robbed. In fact, I interviewed Keith Huffnagel for Uprocks before he passed away. And that was part of one of our conversations was exactly that, was like I had a BMX bike when I was little, and he had one too. And you get them when you're like, 12 or 13, and then you just get chased. You ride down the street, and you just constantly get chased. So at a certain point, you're just like, fuck the BMX bike. It's just like an advertisement to get, like, rob me. The kids from the hood wanted it as a status symbol, and all they had to do was push you off the bike, and there's 4 of them, and they got your mongoose, So the BMXing was kind of like for kids from the hood, like gangster kids. So when we would skate here, the BMX kids would come and you could see them skating down there. They didn't want anything to do with skateboarding, so they wouldn't come and try to rob our skateboards. Actually, lots of times you would interact with like gangsters or criminals, and they would always be like, for some reason, kind of like respected the skaters. They never wanted to take our skateboards. They would have conversations amongst themselves. What are they going to do with this thing? Just leave the skateboard with the kid. They take our wallets and whatever, but they'd leave the skateboards. So that was the beef. The beef wasn't because of the activity of BMX and skateboarding. It was that the kids who had BMX bikes would rob you. So they would come down there and we would stay up here and we would like eye each other from the distance. Of the BMX kids, there's some projects over there and then there's some projects back there. And we assume that they kind of lived there, although we never talked to them, so we don't know. But we would never go over there. But it was always like keep a wide breadth of the danger areas where the BMXers were. Here's the Halloween story from my point of view. To tell you how crazy Halloween in New York City was, and I'm sure Bruno did, I was living at 95th and West End Avenue, and I'm walking up the train to get onto the 1, 2, and 3 at 96 to come downtown, and I'm walking up the hill with my skateboard, and you just hear, ah, like just screaming. And I come up the hill to Broadway, and just running down the middle of the street, not the sidewalk, but the street, are like 50 kids in hockey masks. Like the Friday the 13th was popular, and they would just run up and punch people and keep going. It was called wilding. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be a crazy, crazy night. So we meet at Washington Square Park. We all get together, let's go to the bank. So we all come here, the sun's going down, and then we're all like, let's go to the big banks. Let's go to the big banks. It's really bizarre to be down here now. It's kind of also beautiful, Rosa Chang, shout out to her. Oh, it's low tide, you can smell the fish. I'm serious, there's a tide here, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a harbor town. So we come up here and we're skating. There's nothing going on. So we're skating here, the sun's going down, and this is 1987, Halloween, October 31st. And they just recently opened the South Street Seaport. So the South Street Seaport at the time had, just for whatever reason, blocks of wood that were on an open plaza, and we would go there and do board slides because we just all learned board slides. And then Bruno and everyone is like, hey, let's go to the South Street Seaport. So we all go out through here. When did they put this up, this little ledge? All right, so we were skating the big banks, Halloween, and then we come down here and we all skate through here and we all go out here to Gold Street. And this is where everything starts to get really weird. Now, you can see all these people walking around. We used to never, there was nobody down here except the hospital and these projects. So at this point we're skating, but right here there's a hill, it goes uphill, you'll see. So we would skate, and then about on the other side of the, and now I know we're not in the banks, but they're right there. So, God, look at this. Something happened. Right, you can see this is like the cursed square from all this police action. So we come out of the banks right there. We're coming up here. We get off our boards and we start walking up the street. We get right here. There's nobody around. We're like 30 skaters deep. And right in the middle of the street is this like pit bull of a guy, stockbroker. But I mean, he's like yoked with a tie on, a mustache, a big 80s mustache, and he's screaming right in here. Come here, you motherfuckers, come here. So we're all like, this guy looks like he's out of his mind. So we're walking up the street right here. He's right here screaming, and then right here, there's 3 kids, and I kid you not, with ski goggles. Like it's like a hip hop cartoon, like this. 3 Puerto Rican kids, right here, right where that helmet is. So here you see New York Presbyterian. This is where one of the emergency room entrances are. Right there in the middle of the street is the guy. Come here, come here. And we look at him and he's got egg on him. Someone just threw like 10 eggs at this dude. And right here are these 3 kids. Ski goggles. And we're walking by. We're like, you all right, man? He's like, yeah, don't worry about me. I want to fuck these kids up. And we're minding our business. We're like, boop-a-doop-a-doop, walking up the hill. We're walking up the hill right here. Then, some of us are in the middle of the street because there's no cars. And then some of us are on the sidewalk. To my recollection, Mario Sorrente, the famous photographer, used to wear glasses all the time. And he was walking with his board. I'm already up at the top of the hill. And then I just hear, whoa, and then everyone's like, they hit Mario, they hit Mario. Someone comes running up and says, one of the 3 kids ran up to Mario, punched him in the back of the head. His glasses fell off, and he stomped on his glasses. And we all look around and we're like, what? There's 30 of us, and there's 3 of them. So we all come running back down. We all kind of walk down, and then I see them, and all the skaters, Big Jim, Moore, and like Bosco, Money, and the Weasel, and they're all like kind of the older guys, and they're yelling at the kids, and then suddenly the kids just turn around and they run all the way down there. Just disappear. And we're like, that's fucking nuts. I wonder what that was all about. So we all start walking back up there. Mario's broken glasses. And then we get to where those fire trucks are. And you just hear, and out of these projects come 100 kids. 100 hood-ass kids with baseball bats and socks with rocks in them. And they all, it's horrifying. It's like, it's the closest I've ever been to like what it must have been like in the Middle Ages, or, you know, the Roman Visigoths and Vandal attack. It was just like, you're just like, we're fucking outnumbered. This is scary. And you're instantly horrified, and you pick up your skateboard, and I start looking at the kids running up, but all the kids are running up to us with bats like this. Ah! But there's 100 of them, and there's only 30 of us. So you can tell they're thinking Halloween fun. I don't know what they're thinking, but we were scared shitless. And just a 150 person gang fight breaks out. The guy with the egg on his face joins us. He's fucking people up. In the New York Presbyterian, there were ambulances that were, I don't know, waiting around or doing something, but they were all there. And then the ambulance drivers are sitting there, and they watch it all go down, and the ambulance drivers are like, we're with the skaters. And so the ambulance drivers, all the skaters and the stockbroker guy were fucking people up, and there were 2 girls with us. I'm sure Bruno remembers their name. Gina, maybe? but there was like a small crew of skate girls, and we were like, we got to get them out of here. And I can't even tell you, I don't know if I want to go into detail, but there was like extreme violence that would have put people in hospitals going down here. Because we were scared to death, we were fighting for our lives. I'm sure most of the kids thought that it was just a joke, like they were amused by it. And because of that, they were underestimating who they were getting into a beef with, and we were like hurting people. Then we see the girls, and Bruno's like, I'm taking the girls, we gotta get the girls out of here. I'm like, fine, take the girls. Bruno goes up there, and it was crazy. I mean, they were swinging like hammers and, oh yeah, this is it right here. So all these ambulance drivers came and helped us fight. Thanks. The fight starts getting crazy, and then Bruno's like, let's go. I'd like to give a shout out to my man, Rich Hankels, who was a friend of mine, a skater from Philly, who was visiting me. And he got caught in the middle of this and lost. He was like, what the hell's happening? And I was like, stay here. And I ran over here to get into the fight. I turned around to check on him, and he ran past me. And I was like, what are you doing? He was like, we're fighting these people. So this is the street. It's crazy narrow. Ann Street. So we go up Ann Street. Bruno takes the two girls up this street. Look at this. It's cinematic. So this is like one of the old New York City narrow streets. The banks are right there. So we've walked 2 blocks. So we all start going up here. They're kind of regrouping the hood's kids, and they're like realizing that a lot of their friends got really hurt, and they're getting mad. So they're like, we're gonna fuck them up. And they start getting here, and we're going up here following Bruno with the girls. And Bruno's like, what are you doing? Don't follow me. I got the girls. It's too late. So we're going up here, and that right there on the right-hand side by the signposts were bags of garbage. And that's where everyone starts ripping open bags, throwing the bottles at these dudes over here. The bottles are exploding at them. I think they're throwing bottles at us. Then kids are taking the bottles and smashing them to fight. And we get up there, and I'm just like, this is dumb. And they're like, why? And I was like, because they all live right here. We don't know how many friends they have. We're trapped. We got to get to open space. So we run out here to City Hall. There's nobody there. We're all just like standing in the middle of the street in front of City Hall. And everyone's kind of like, we're all, is everyone okay? Everybody's fine. We all got hit, but like nobody's severely injured. So we're just kind of standing there like, what do we do? And I'm like, I don't know. And then we start walking uptown to the City Hall, back to the banks. And then all the kids run out to face off against us again. And then we stand there, what do we do? And then we're just looking at each other like a block apart. And then they all come back here. And then we're just standing there. And then 2 of them walk up and start walking towards us. Just 2 of them. And we're like, what do we do? And like, I don't know. And I'm like, they're either trying to distract us and they're coming around to get us from the back, or they have guns. So let's just go. And we all get on our fucking skateboards and skate back uptown. Like, did that just really happen? You know? Now that's where most of the story ends for most people, but I have a fucking dumb amendment to the end of this story. This is the second part of the story, which really only has to do with me. So we're all skating back to Washington Square Park after the stupid gang fight, and we're all so geeked. Did you believe that happened? Holy shit, you didn't see what that kid did, and that guy got fucked up. And we're all so crazy. And we're in Soho. So there's like this little park. Now at the time, the mafia, Italian mob, still kind of had a presence in the 80s. And there was like, in downtown New York, there were notorious teenage gangster kids. But one of them was this really good-looking, textbook Italian Adonis alpha male. 6'3", tan, gold chain, wife beater, hair back, named and he was like notorious. He'd come into Washington Square Park and oh, and all the girls would go, ah. And he was like, would be famous for like punching people. It was like a tough guy. For whatever reason, he became friends with me. He knew me by name. Hey, what's up, Eli? You know, I had the glasses. I was very little. So we're skating back. We're going by West 4th, Ben's Pizza on Spring, just off of West Broadway. And I look and I see the toughest guy I know. And I just got in a gang fight. So I get away from the skaters and I skate right into the handball court. And I'm like, we just got in a gang fight. I got to tell you how cool I am. And he walks up to me like this. And I'm like, oh, something's not right. And he just grabs me. And I'm like 120 pounds. And he picks me up. And I look, and all the skaters are just skating. They're just leaving me because they can't fuck with them because they're like mafia kids. And I'm like, help, help. They all skate away. I kick my board out to my friend who grabs my skateboard and shaking me. And he's like, don't struggle and it won't hurt so much. And I'm like, what's happening? And I'm just being carried away with my feet up. And they take me to the back of the swimming pool at the park. Oh, what the fuck do we got here? There's 20 more gangster kids back there. And they're like, we're gonna this white boy in the And I'm like, oh, what? So they take me, they start hitting me. And I'm just like, oh, getting fucked up. And then they throw me into the chain link fence. And I grab it. And I'm just like, if you let go of this chain link fence, you're gonna get So I'm like this, and they're all pulling me. They're trying to pull my pants off. And I'm just like, I can't believe this is happening to me. This all happened the same night. And then I'm about to lose my mind, and I just hear them start laughing, and I just hear, and they all take out shaving cream, because it's Halloween. And they just sit there, and they hold me, and they just cover me in shaving cream, head to toe, like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from Ghostbusters. And I'm covered in shaving cream, and then I'm slippery. So they slip off of me, fall, and I run. I run out of the park. No one's there. All the skaters left me, except for my one man, Rich Ankles, who's standing on my skateboard. I got your skateboard. I was like, come on, man. And I'm so mad, and I'm skating to Washington Square Park, covered in shaving cream. Everybody in the street's laughing at me. They're like, look at this asshole. And I'm like, and I go, and I'm like, where is everybody? They all left me. They're like, they're at Jim Moore's house. So I went to Jim Moore's house. Ding, 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 ding. And he let me in, and they're all like, Eli, there's nothing we can do. That's like the mafia kids. Like, you can't fuck with them. And I was like, fine. Let me take a shower. But it was like probably one of the best days of my life.